Well, maybe we should read this now, and
Okay.
so that we can get a little more flavor of the story.
Well, I think I just lost my, oh, there I am. Okay, this is when the plot is hatched. After Josie has been roughed up by people in a gang in the park. They had seen a program on TV about how wonderful prisons were, how country club-like. And she said, and Josie jumps up and says, that was when the plan hit her, the plan that would solve everything. She bolted out of her chair, electrified with insight. "Mabel," she gasped, "that's the answer. Imagine life in a totally secure place where you're fed 3 meals a day and probably even snacks in between. You could watch TV and play cards and read all you want to." She stared, unseeing, over Mabel's head, entranced by the images playing in her head. "It wouldn't be much different from those senior developments you were talking about, except you wouldn't get bussed anywhere. If you become ill, you'd be taken care of. Your laundry is done for you and your clothing provided." She grew more animated by the moment as a bewildered Mabel looked on. "On top of that," she continued, "we could do our country the favor of getting rid of a bunch of costly crooks. We have nowhere to go anyway, so being locked up wouldn't be so bad now, would it? Just think, we'd have no worries and could finally relax." Cheeks flushed and eyes dancing, she held her breath, waiting for Mabel's response. The TV chattered on in the momentary silence. Mabel was aghast, her face grown comically slack. "Josie," she said slowly, hardly trusting herself to speak, "are you talking about living in jail? With all those murderers and thieves, you must be joking." But shocked as she was, a seed had been planted, and of its own accord the seed began to germinate as she sat gaping at her friend. "Don't you remember the program we saw about prisons on TV? How with all the ACLU monitoring them, they become more like country clubs. Old folks aren't asked to do anything too hard, and if their needs aren't met, why, lawyers jump right on it. That's where we should be, Mabel, really. At least there are young people there. It wouldn't be like a nursing home where everyone is old and sick and just waiting to die." Josie could almost see the wheels and gears cranking in Mabel's head. Earl had usually done the thinking for both of them, and now Mabel's mouth worked wordlessly as she struggled to process this information all by herself. Somehow she accomplished what was for her a quantum leap of imagination. They looked at each other in stunned silence, their thoughts welded into a single revolutionary concept. But what would people say? I don't know. I don't want to do anything bad, Josie, stuttered Mabel. Her fleshy chins wobbled in rhythm as she vigorously patted at her face with a handful of tissues. She had stretched her mind well beyond its rational limits, and it now slogged along, lost in uncharted gray matter. Josie took Mabel's hands firmly in hers. "Mabel, I don't want to do anything bad either," she said. "But don't you see, if we get rid of bad guys, that's good. If we eliminate enough criminals at $40,000 apiece for every year they're in prison, the government can use the money we've saved them to take care of us. And we'll be helping to make the country a safer place. What do we have to lose, Mabel? Either we can die wards of the state in some depressing nursing home, or we can die having done something useful for our country. Like one of George H. Bush's 1,000 points of light." Josie's eyes gleamed with insight. She'd never seen anything so clearly. "Remember the words of John F. Kennedy," she exclaimed, gazing proudly over Mabel's head at unseen throngs of fellow patriots. "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." Mabel had become a leaden lump among the sofa pillows. She watched Josie in astonishment. This couldn't be the mousy Josie she knew. "But Josie, you know what fraidy cats we are. We both hate guns and scary things. I don't see how—" Josie beamed an all-knowing smile. "Mabel, With everything else we've had to do, we can learn to use a gun. Then we won't be charity cases when we run out of money. We'll have earned our keep.